We're live on YouTube. Um, yeah, we got some news this week with some stuff been going on. Let's see, Spectra news. Anyone else got updates? I've got a couple. Spectra news can include
I think you can go.
your own projects too, if you want to share anything about any project you've been working on.
I've been cleaning up the code for one of the games I'm making before I attempt to bring in the Spectra block as the new scene for it. I just want to make sure everything else is optimized because it's going to be a lot harder to do after the fact.
Interesting. Then say again what you're building. What are you working on?
Oh yeah, I'm building a game where the players running around a block, interacting with different things, chasing people, being chased by other people. Right now, it's just going to be single player, I think, but just optimizing that before I actually bring in some of the heavier assets. And then from there, we'll think about multiplayer, VR translation, and everything else. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, sounds cool. So I've been working on something we're gonna go check out in a little bit, which is the fully navigable city block model, Spectre block, which managed to get into spatial and it's working. It might be a little heavy on some folks' machines, so if anyone can't load it for any reason, we have the YouTube stream up, so people can watch. I've put a portal over there, so when we're ready, we'll hop through and start to think about a new project, which is the idea that we want to build a virtual makerspace, like a place where we can work on projects and start to actually, change the city or move into some blocks. So there's a lot of stuff we could. I've got a lot to talk about. But the other news this week is that we refresh our website a little bit. So you might notice a little changes at inspectorcities.com. Um, and let's see what else. There's a newsletter coming up. No, not quite yet. We're halfway through the month. But yeah. Oh, next week we have a guest speaker. Damiano Cerrone from Urbanist AI is going to come and talk about AI for participatory urbanism. Really cool speaker that I chatted to last week, and he confirmed today. So I'll be announcing that meetup today, and you can RSVP after the meetup's done. That's it for me. Anyone else have any updates on your projects, things you've been working on? Welcome, Steve.
I'm ready to hop into this new
If
world.
not, then let's go check this out. This has been really fun. So yeah, like I said, Steve, before you got here, this new scene that we're working on, it's not really optimized yet. It works. We've tested it on mobile, VR, and PC, so it works. But if you have an older rig, you might struggle. If so, we have the live stream up at YouTube. Oh, and before we do that, let's look at the new spatial. So a couple things have changed in spatial with regarding movement, how you move around. First of all, you'll notice the Q and E to rotate is gone, and the new default mode rotates your view when you press the side arrows. Um, Down next to your chat box, there is a navigation selector, and there's three movement modes that you can choose to your liking. So the first one is to move your view automatically when you move left and right. The second one, if you hover over, is drag to rotate. This is the classic, what we've had until now, where you click and drag to rotate your camera. And then on the right, some of you may appreciate, especially Steve, pointer lock mode will capture your cursor and let you move more like a video game that you're accustomed to, like Fortnite or whatever. Um, oh, and Ryan's discovered the other new feature is double jump. So this is kind of helpful for reaching higher locations. And it certainly seems like spatial's starting to move in towards the gaming direction. So, but it's nice to be able to move around a little bit more nimbly than we can in real life. Um, Great. And the new space that we're going to move to in a second, teleporting has been disabled. But fortunately, the entire block is intact and navigable, so we can actually explore the block via the stairs and everything. There's a bunch of glitches in it right now that need to be cleaned up. And so if you get stuck, you may have to reload. There's a couple spots to get stuck, but we can explore together. Um, all right, any last questions before we hop over?
I would just say, in case anyone gets momentarily stuck in the pointer lock mode of movement, you can just press the escape key to
Oh
go
yeah,
back
good
to
good point, Matt. Yeah.
normal. Yeah, if you need your mouse.
Yeah, I like pointer lock, but there's also all this stuff that you can do. Yeah, it would be. I don't know. Yeah, it's nice though. I'm glad they have these different options. Pointer lock mode is especially nice in first person. So over here is our new block entrance under construction. I'm gonna clap next to the entrance. Um, we'll wait for everyone to find us.
Are these tables new too?
No, these have been here. I also realized there's a spot down that other
Oh.
street where you can see through the skywalks and see the main intersection, which is kind of cool. Anyway, yeah. So one of the things that we've had trouble conveying with this intersection build is the fact that Spectra blocks are supposed to be open on the ground floor, and you see these have been turned into wood facade. Uh, but this new block that we managed to get in has the open ground floor, so you can actually feel what it's like to walk underneath. So I think we have everyone. Is anybody else hanging out at the intersection? Yeah, okay, everyone's here. All right, let's hop through, and if you get lost, you can type in Discord or join the YouTube channel. All right, can't load the scene. We'll see. It's not bad. It's 2 million polys. Not bad at all.
Oh, they got rid of the automatic mute on entering a new space.
Oh yeah, that's kind of nice.
Uh,
Noticing all these changes. So if you fall down, you're gonna have to find your way back up because there's no teleport. But there is one core.
yes.
There's one core on one corner that has a staircase that goes up here. The others are broken, and you might get stuck.
Oh, I can see your shadows walking on the
Yeah,
second floor from the first.
there is no light maps for this block model yet, so the lights are
See.
not baked, but still looks. I mean, it's nice that it's bright everywhere without putting lights in.
Getting a first-hand experience of accessibility, trying to find the staircase.
Right, yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we? About how different ways to get up and down the block. Um, so yeah, this is the Spectre block in its full glory, kind of. Is it weird? Because we've seen this in bits and pieces in the other scenes, but this is it. It's exciting. So over here we've set up the beginnings of maybe a makerspace or an office, and there's a couple prefabs in here that in the spatial toolkit. One is this wall. The dotted surface is if you share your screen, share your computer screen, it comes up here. This is a sittable chair. Obviously we had those before, and then these are some frames that you can upload different content into them. So it had the blueprint of the Broadway path here. So all of this first or second level here is meant to be office space or flex space. And so now that we have the entire block, we could start to build it out together. We might not want to go too far with the decorating just yet, since we might have to clean up the model. The base model of this block is pretty heavy. But you can imagine maybe you have some ideas now that you've seen this. Let's try to find two of the corners of this block have been dropped off, or one of them has been dropped off to be like a plaza. So the A, remember we've got the A and the B type buildings that come together to make the block, and so I think it's the A type, the corner, has been left out. And then I think over in this corner, this is the corner we might want to try to climb up together. Or we could split up and see who can make it to the roof. The second story is this is supposed to be the dormitory. It's like dormitory housing. Oh, I just remembered I should probably put this link in the Discord in case any latecomers. Okay. And then you'll notice some flickering on the floor. It's we got to resize that, move that like 1 pixel down.
Or 1 pixel up, maybe.
Yeah. Just like 2 planes trying to occupy the same space. Classic Z fighting. So you can find the staircase.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Oh yeah, hey. Yeah, we can hear you. I found the stairs.
Are the door?
I got baited by 2.
Is the model the right size, the right scale? It feels.
It might be a bit small. Yeah.
I got into a doorway and can't get out because I'm too tall.
Oh, no.
Or the doorway is too.
Yeah, do you know that?
And the stairways
I'm
also
remembering
seem
when
like.
Yeah, I'm remembering when the Hulk visited our talk the other week. He would definitely wouldn't
But
be able to
are
fit it.
these big holes down to the same subterranean level supposed to be part of the design?
Yeah, the cores.
In other words, would there be safety rails around those holes?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll notice in the.
But the whole.
Yeah. This is sort of.
But
at
the holes are supposed
level.
to. Okay, but are the holes supposed to be there or not?
Yeah, they are. So you'll see in the courtyard scene back in the main hub in the old intersection. If you go to the courtyard there, you'll see that they've put railings around the holes. But yeah, they do intend that to be an option. Of course, the courtyard is supposed to be customizable to the design that fits the block needs. I do think it might be a little small scale. That's a good point. We'll have to get some architects to test. I mean, I brought it in. I didn't modify the scale after I brought it in, so it makes sense that it would be a bit.
Well, what's the size of
the spatial thing?
What's the size of a spatial avatar? Are we all just like 7 foot tall?
Yeah, right. We're all like probably giants. I don't know.
I mean, I could cover this whole thing in a greenhouse roof, and use the steel infrastructure to build it underneath. But you'd still need to have a column in this central space,
right?
One every 48 feet or so to keep up the greens. But other than that, I can build this.
I mean, yeah, there's different courtyard designs. They made about 5 suggestions, but I mean, it's entirely conceivable that a block might decide to fill in this area in the middle. I mean, that would be.
But I mean, the point is that you want to if you have this type of design, to have the whole space be a regulated temperature is great, because then you can once again open up any floor as much as you want to the center space, and you can have all the glass and whatever else, and it's not going to lose heat. So that's kind of the main idea of enclosing.
What kind of climate are you thinking about for that? Like a colder climate to heat it up, or a warmer climate to cool down?
I mean, you can do both, but if you're going to do a lot of greenery, and you can basically use evaporative transpiration in drier, warmer climates, and then in a cooler climate where you need warming, you essentially are going to have a greenhouse, and then at the apex of the greenhouse will be where the warmest air is, and so you kind of grab that and you cycle it down even to like I guess that could be the subterranean level there that you're sort of utilizing, beneath, or you could go even one level beneath that, where you could have bags of water or rock that you essentially circulate that hot air through to warm it up. And then when you have cloudy days in the winter or at nighttime, you can just essentially circulate the air through that rock or water again to reclaim it and the whole space again.
Reminds me of an old project one of my friends did called the Urban Space Station, and it was like a circulatory system for a building based on some agricultural chamber in the top of the building. But I mean, now this block that we're walking around in now is in our open source kit on the website, the Source City kit. And so, I mean, you could, remix it and try to show that idea, for example.
Right, sure.
I didn't do too many changes when I brought this in. The one thing that you need to do to make the textures work in Unity with the spatial toolkit is to change the materials to change the pipeline of the materials, which is very easy. It's just a menu item that you have to find, which I can tell you. But it's fairly easy to bring this block in. It's a little heavy polygon wise, so I'm looking to make an optimized one.
There's sort of requirements to have certain things fit to certain 4-foot dimensional requirements within my system. So, you might have to change the size of some rooms. I'm saying 4 foot is sort of what things need to be rounded to. So in other words, rooms will tend to be 20 feet or 24 feet wide or 28 feet wide or some such like that.
Interesting.
Just because it makes building larger, composing larger things easier if you put those type of constraints in.
I wonder what.
But it doesn't affect the fundamental aesthetic.
I wonder what our.
Do you have a version which works metric?
I bet our thing is metric, right? It was made by.
Yeah, all of our stuff is metric because most of the world. I want Steve.
Sure. Well,
it's based. It's in metrics.
The reason that it's being done, you could modify the system to. The point is that throughout a particular development, you just want to use a consistent scale.
Yeah.
So, in an American system, what I made that 4-foot system, it's based upon that I'm trying to minimize the amount of construction waste. So, plywood board, for example, tends to be exactly 4 feet wide.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
So that's. And a lot of other sheets of things come in 4 foot wide things. So if you want to use the whole sheet and not cut and discard stuff, you build to 4 foot wide.
I wonder how wide our terrace grid is here. The steel, it's probably more like 8 feet or something. But interesting. Anyone found their way up yet? I'm up here. I found the staircase. If you find the staircase on this,
how do you get up to?
Nope, I went all the way to the bottom.
How do you get up to higher floors in the apartments?
I thought I was hitting S and I hit W instead.
Through one of the dormitory rooms, you go through the back and there's like a staircase. And that's the stairs. The staircase goes all the way up. So once you find the one staircase, you should be able to go most of the way up. This corner on this side of the building has a roof that you can walk on. So I'm up where the roof scene is in our other build of the rooftop. So obviously this block, although it's more detailed, but it's also less detailed. This is more at the massing level. So the rooftop that we have, the other scene, that's all decorated and stuff, but it's based on this, and you can see where the cafe was put in and stuff. And we have the
Nick, when I was trying to get up from the first floor up to the second floor.
Yeah, I got no stairs. Never mind ones that don't work.
3 of the stairs are fake.
If you're stuck on the oh really?
Juked.
Yeah, if you're stuck on the ground level, Steve, you might try just refreshing because that way they'll bring you up to the ground. There's only one of those corners in the corner works. So it's I'm gonna fix that first, but see, Matt found his way up here.
Oh, Nick, we ended up on opposite sides.
Yeah. And some of the floors are
dangerous balconies.
Yeah, some of the floors don't have collision yet either. So.
Yeah, that brought me up. Yeah, I was looking down the pit, then I just jumped right into it.
Yeah. This is what the architects call the massing.
In real life. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, duh. You'll see where they put the railings on if you go back to our other scene. But that was all. I don't know. It just shows the amount of choice there is based on this design, like based on the
Now, when
A
you
and B buildings. Yeah.
and now the other thing is when you have once again a weather protected space for this central area, is you would be able to do all sorts of semi-permanent installations in here, which wouldn't have to be weather protected. In other words, you would have like giant art space where sort of half-done projects could just be left out without having to worry about the weather destroying them.
Since it's always sunny in the metaverse, we can actually put our virtual projects in here and stuff. Is one idea. I also took the liberty of making a giant ocean around this block, so that can actually be used to bring in large assets. I just dropped in a huge chunk of New York City yesterday, which came in pretty smooth, and was able to situate us in the middle of New York. That was pretty fun. So yeah, I'm hoping this could be a virtual makerspace. This is sort of our first real block that we've been able to bring in. So this is like block 1, or we used to call it block 0. Or I forget what we were gonna call it, but it was like our first block basically of the city. Which it makes sense that it would be a workshop to help build the others. But yeah, I like the idea of weather protection.
What are the large dimensions here? Do we know what the dimension of the interior space is, for example?
That's a good idea though. Maybe we can like get the dimensions from the plans and like put them around so people can see what the dimensions are. That might be useful. I don't know if we need to get the plans from the architect.
Yeah, I can look and see if I can find them.
Yeah. We have some blueprint, or I think we had one at a previous meetup, right? This is pretty cool though. I can see like you walking down there on all the different levels. We need to get some foliage in here too. I think that's a great idea though, to get the measurements visible. It would almost be cool if you could design like a measuring tape, like a virtual measuring tape too. One thing that like level designers in games do is that they use reference objects when they're building a space. So they have like a cylinder that's the size of a person that they move around as a reference to show how a figure it stands and stuff. And they'll use certain things like collection of objects to be their measures when they're building out something. I don't know if that's much different from what architects do, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I have square meters for floor plans, but I don't have other things yet. We can find them and
the
post them
architects
later.
have the Rhino model. Well, actually, we have the Rhino models in our kit, but then you'd have to have Rhino, and then you could probably measure it that way. I'm gonna put some
Easy flashing
here
on my screen.
Yeah, it's Z fighting. It's just the two planes are exactly in the same space.
They are not.
So yeah, that can fix that. We can fix that next time. So a lot of the issues we're having with the like it's very high poly and stuff is mostly because the architectural model was imported from the CAD software, and the CAD software builds with mathematics and non-destructive process, and so it's like you have a vector file
Vector
or
graphics,
something.
right?
Yeah, it's like a vector file, and then we baked it into pixels, and it happened to have like 2 million pixels. So some optimization to be done. But anyway, I'm very happy to be able to walk around this whole block. And I have some ideas for some projects.
Good job, Nick.
Some projects that we could do here. So I've been looking at open source libraries for interim urban placemaking. And there's a couple. This is mostly for like Jin's project idea, which was sort of a off-grid homestead project, but with a virtual to real process. Let's see, so I can make a link to, this is one from the Better Block group, and this is called the Wiki Block, which is a collection of, you might be interested in this data, it's like a collection of printable designs for temporary street furniture and stuff like structures that are based on 3D print, or not 3D print, but CNC machine file code, so you can cut plywood.
Right.
And then they snap together.
Yep.
Mostly snap together without nails. So it's designed so you could construct them just by cutting the wood.
Actually, I'd be really interested in this because I've also designed a number of built-ins that are plywood essentially, that essentially run the periphery of a lot of my apartments to provide a lot of built-in storage.
Oh, cool.
And then people can kind of sit as well for parties. So yeah.
Yeah, they have a bunch of designs, and they're all open source, which is cool.
Have you ever seen the interior of Falling Water? Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water.
I haven't seen the interior. Is there one? There's got to be one on the VR somewhere.
Well, he's got a lot of built-ins in that. So
interesting. So that's one. The other link I'll share is the Open Source Ecology has this global village construction set, which this is designed to be a modular, low cost.
I've had this. I know this guy.
Yeah, Marcin, I think.
I've had this guy. This guy is. He's given a talk before in my loft in San Francisco 10 years ago. So yeah, I know who he is.
It seems like it's still going. I know there was a branch off project as well, but it's very interesting, this like collection of machines that would enable you to make all sorts of things. And so Jen in our Discord,
it's sort of like rebuild society from dirt.
Right? Yeah, it's like Minecraft in real life.
You have dirt plus air. Exactly, it's Minecraft in reality. Is what it is.
So Jin wants to try to 3D model all of these machines to be able to build a virtual homestead. So that's one idea for a project. And then another library that I found on the topic of libraries, now that we have an office where we can have a library, is the Tactical Urbanism Guide to Materials and Design. So this is a bunch of materials for tactical urban pop-up temporary projects, like tires and like different planters and signs and stuff, pallets. I think it would be cool to have this as a 3D library as well, because you could like drop the models around, design a space, and just move them around without having to lift them up. Those pallets are heavy. I know I used to make the pallet architecture for a local festival, but it'd be nice to be able to prototype it in virtual without any weight or anything like that. I think there's a project in my town I want to try to use this for. They're doing like a sort of like a food truck park in a vacant lot. The lot owner is cooperating, and I think it would be very trivial to just sort of like set it up in spatial. Actually, they have the plan design, and I think I could just drag in the image of this design actually here, and we could like walk on it, kind of. Might be kind of cool. I can find it in my photos. But yeah, the Tactical Urbanists have a whole library of parts as well. The first two are open source. I don't know about this guy.
Reminds me of when I...
What's that?
This reminds me when I in my friends in architecture school, my anarchist architecture friends would be like, "Build this building, and then we'll leave these plans in the rubble."
Right.
So
we're in like it's weird. I can't figure out if this feels more like a construction site or a ruin or what, because of the ocean makes you think more like it's a post-apocalyptic. When I brought in the New York model,
I'm just talking about the whole tactical. The whole idea of tactical urbanism.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like that style for sure. Yeah,
it's a positive repurposing of that intent.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the last guide that I found on this topic is the Meanwhile City. It's a guide to temporary interventions, and it's a pretty recent book with a bunch of stuff along the lines of tactical urbanism. So yeah, I wanted to like maybe start a library here and start to collect some resources and then extend them, like the open source ones. We can make 3D models of them. I think Better Block has 3D models of all those plywood designs. They just don't include them with the download. They give you the machine code for CNC, but I'm sure they have SketchUp files. I should just ask them maybe before I model anything. But it would be really cool to have that in a backpack here. Okay, so I was looking for this plan of the lot in my town. Let's see if I can share it. I have to download it. Oh no, it's an HEIC file. Ugh, I don't think I can upload that to Spatial.
What the fuck does that mean?
HEIC is the iPhone, living photo, like the live photo format. It's kind of
I think it's the format for all of their pictures. That's why iPhone pictures are so much smaller than Android ones.
Yeah.
And the image quality gets destroyed when you send it. Yeah, that's why whenever you send a picture from iPhone to Android, their quality used to go down. It's because it was so much smaller.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks.
And it was like priority software that reinterpolated it back to a better looking image. Boy, that was too much of a tongue twister for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna find the link to this block. So this is the assets. Those assets. You mean by those assets? You mean the ones that we linked here? I think it would be cool to have those in our library. So that's the suggestion, is possibly to start a modeling project. I think Jin has already started. Yeah, the ecology one. Yeah, I think Jin's already started to try to model some of those machines. So I'll have to check in with Jin and the M3 group and see if we can recruit any more people to 3D, turn these things into 3D. But yeah, between the tactical materials, the ecology library, and the Better Block library, you could build quite a nice little temporary, I don't know, outpost or lot or something. A lot of projects with those parts. Okay, so I got the image. Let's see.
Did you already buy this book, the Meanwhile City?
I have the PDF of it, which I could share. I think
you can get the PDF for free.
It's like a report, yeah. Yeah, Petra Marco, I think, is the author. I don't know if it's related to, there was a contest in London before the Olympics that was like how to reuse their blocks, and they did a lot of projects, and it was called Meanwhile London. It's like a competition. I used to hang out at one of them. It was in East London.
Where are you now, Nick?
I'm in New York right now, actually. I just here for a couple days, and then I'll be back.
Oh, but I mean, like, where do you live? Is one of
Maine. I'm in Maine. I'm sort of a super commuter, though. Like, I go to New York a lot.
Yeah,
I'm experimenting with this.
You went home between. Yeah, have you been home between the time I saw you last?
Yeah, I've been home. Yeah, so I go back and forth.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I drove today actually at 4 a.m, and then I got in here by 10 a.m. And it really wasn't. It was like a pretty perfect time to drive. Like I missed the rush hour in Connecticut, and then just caught a little bit of it. And then by the time I got to New York, rush hour's over. So yeah, it was pretty
I guess it's no harder than a plane commute coast to coast. So
yeah, it's not
do that all the time.
Oh really? Yeah. It's like what some of my old architect friends called circulatory urbanism. It's very common in India. Like people will live in some village way out in the countryside, but they'll come into Mumbai by train. It's kind of a nice flow. I like both having the forest and the city. Okay. I got the image of the lot in my town. I'm gonna drop it in. It's
when I was talking to Jonah last week, and like he got a little bit too much of like thinking I was like all into only urban spaces. I'm like perfectly fine that some people live in like lower densities, dude.
Oh yeah.
The point is that a lot of people are going to want to live in urban, like high density environments, and we got to provide for it. And we need to integrate those environments
Yeah,
effectively.
I kind of like both extremes. Like, I don't really like the middle suburbia. I like both. That's why I really enjoyed when I was in Hong Kong, actually, because it's like nature and high density urbanism was like right up against each other. It's really cool. You could go
Yeah, that's
hiking.
how I design stuff too.
Yeah, you could like hike up a mountain and then come down into the subway stop.
Yeah. The idea is to be 5 minutes from being able to do like full, access to conserved naturalistic spaces.
Right. So I brought in this block plan. So I haven't talked to the actual architect on this yet, but my mom's actually involved in the team of people, and it's like a bunch of locals that are getting together to basically do like a food truck lot in an empty lot in our little town up in Maine. And the architect put together this plan, and I was like, well, if you have this plan, you can just turn it into a picture here and then drop it down on the floor and like scale it up, and it can just sort of like walk around on it and then start dropping objects down. And like probably within a couple hours, you could like build it out in virtual, in spatial, and then test out this proposal. I mean, they have a plan here of like where they're going to put the food trucks and where the lawn is, and there's like a fence on this bottom end of the site, and then the entrance is at the corner. Like, you could test all of this stuff in here. So I'm thinking about proposing it to them. It's probably like about 8 people from the city that are just getting together to collaborate on it, and they're gonna have it available for like 3 years. The owner of the lot wants to let it stay this way for 3 years, so it could be a cool project.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Now I get to experience trying to explain to the architect why like a virtual thing would be cool, and they'll be like, "What?" I'm not really sure like what to think of it, but I think I could set up a prototype to show them pretty quick. Maybe I could, since I live there, I could actually go scan these buildings maybe with LiDAR, and then set it up with the plan. So it's like the floor is like the plan drawn out, but then the buildings are like real scans or something. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty cool like multimedia experience for them.
Yeah.
Outside of just the planning too, just to see a mashup of something they drew on the ground with scans of these existing places, brought in virtual assets representing what could be there. Yeah, it's like a mix of past, present, and future.
Yeah, cool. True. Yeah, there were people are really curious about the past too. I think it'd be cool to be able to have multiple builds of the same, which you could do in spatial pretty easily if you had used the template system and just make like a past version, future versions, and current version. You could like hop between them. Interesting. Was the person that you were talking to, Matt, didn't show up, right? That 3D modeler? That's not you, is it? C-Host? We had a freelance person.
Right. Yeah. I think that they might be flying back to the States today.
Oh, okay. Well, next week's a good meetup.
Yeah, they said that they were flying on Thursday.
Yeah, next week we got like a proper guest speaker and everything, so that could be a good one. We had this freelancer that joined the community recently, and it brought up the topic of like, what if we had some type of job board through our Discord or even through this space? Is that something anyone would be interested in, like a place to list jobs or to look for jobs?
Or alternatively, for people who are trying to start up new organizations or new companies, find people who are on board with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a CEO, so.
All right, well, I guess you could post a listing. I mean, it seems, hopefully like projects like this in my hometown and like this stuff you're doing, I mean, if folks start to, get on board with the virtual to real methods and stuff, or incorporating these tools, then, and if we all get skilled at this stuff, then, I mean, everyone gets to find work. I think that would be great. I guess what would be the best way to set up a channel like that? Would you like to see it as like a forum channel on the Discord, like everybody taking over different houses in the floor of this block space, or like, I guess the easier way to share the listings would be through Discord, right?
It could also be an Airtable too.
Could be a database. I'm trying to think how some other groups do it. I guess it's Discord based on the groups that I know for VR stuff.
I would like to have export generally data that we take with us to other places is first solution.
You cut out a little bit, just got half of that.
Yeah, let me turn up my volume.
All right, hold on. I wasn't close enough to my mic and face.
No worries.
Okay, so what I was saying, and I think my battery might be low too. So I was just saying, with Discord, we can't really ever export that resource and take it somewhere else without everybody having to re-enter all their data. So, someplace, a database that we can then manifest in different places would be better than.
Okay, so like a Google Sheet or an Airtable that could be shared.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good to me. I was just taking a screenshot. Let's put it in screenshots. I like this scene right here. It's like the new office. We're standing in the new office. Nothing's been set up yet, but I think I
can investigate this.
Yeah.
I'm investigating making a sheet with this kind of Google Docs alternative called Memex. So I'll report back to see how that turns out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
it's like an open source alternative,
Yeah, there's a bunch of collaboration tools that there's a site that lists a bunch of collab tools that Jin shared with us, and I forget the name of it, but I'll find it. It had a list of like a bunch of different tools. So, yeah, the idea was I think we wanted to build like a Spectra Studios office in part of this block, but it'd be cool to have other offices for like different groups. So like, what if there was like a Universal Urban office, and then there was like a Numina office and a Strata office, like, then we have a block full of like designers basically. I think we can give people space within this one block to like put up stuff about their projects. Maybe there's also the base floor, which has all of those little market buildings as well that can be taken over by different things.
To do that, it would be cool to have somewhere a directory, which is just like a 2D version of what's going on here, so people know where to go before having to walk all the way up and down,
Yeah.
I guess just a map.
You're reminding me of the wayfinding that they use in the what's the place in Brooklyn? Industry City in Brooklyn has a bunch of these type of signs to, like, it's like 4 giant factories, right, full of different things. So they have a bunch of signage to like tell people what's there. Might take some photos. I'm pretty close to there actually, so I could take some photos of it.
And this is something different than just a map at like a mall or an airport. This is more involved, similar. More cool.
We could do something that's more ambitious than that even, probably. Oh, just there's some good photogenic spots here. It's nice. I'm taking some screenshots.
Yeah, I spent like 5 minutes just having my avatar pointing towards the setting sun, I think.
Yeah, I like the sun. That sun orb is from the default scene in Spatial that they give you. It's like an actual orb that I put over the sun in the skybox. This has a very sort of future vibe to it, right? The ocean, sea level rise.
How many images or resources can you put in a space like this without...
We're already 1.5 million polys over the recommended limit. So the recommended polys is
I mean,
500K.
So we should be
it's
okay.
nice and smooth on my laptop. So
Yeah, it runs pretty well. So I guess that limit is pretty soft cap. If I could get it back
but I mean,
down
if
to
ever
500, right? Since we know that this works at 2 million, that if I could get this down to 500, then we know that we could go from 500 up to 2 million with all our extra decorations and stuff, and it would still be okay.
So what happens if we put 500 images in here in every office or workspace?
Yeah, that's what we should test. Because actually, I've never seen the cap. There might be a hard cap by the spatial. Like spatial might stop you, or it might just get more laggy. We should probably stress test it at some point so we know for sure before we start decorating everything. But you know, if we can't add live objects, we can always add them in the Unity build before we publish it. So we still have the opportunity to add things via the actual environment.
Yeah, so what's the idea is that you take an office here and decorate it with images and texts and billboards describing the projects and maybe a few portals to other to resources.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Like our first block of the city would basically be for builders, which we're all sort of like builders, so we can represent ourselves here. And then I think one of the original ideas with Spectra is that we really build out a virtual city grid. And so if you could imagine maybe two scenes, right? And one scene is the old intersection of where we started today. And it's like that level of detail, but you can't go inside the blocks. But we get that big enough that we could replicate a whole cluster of like 9 blocks or more in that hub scene. And you could actually go around the blocks, and then at each block, maybe on the corner, there's like a teleport to one of these scenes that has the block in detail. And then people could take over different blocks for different projects and stuff. We're not that big yet to need that, but I could see that eventually a group might want to take over a whole block like this. But for now, like our community is about the size that we fit in one of these blocks together. So we could just try moving in and see what happens. Let people and just take over different parts and try to use them for what they were intended for and see if there's any differences from virtual to real. I mean, you know, it's nice to have
that's
a workspace.
Awesome.
I think the one difference, well, using the third person mode at least, is like a lot of the low ceilings are kind of uncomfortable to use. I think in VR spaces, having more open, high ceilings is more comfortable. But if you go into first person mode, it feels a lot more fine. Like it feels more like it's intended. And I guess we noticed this is a little bit lower scale than it should be. So I think it would feel even more spacious maybe if we scaled it up a little bit.
So if you replace the environment, will the objects stay in here? So can we do updates to the whole architecture while having the exhibitions in place or the library, the resources?
Yeah, we should test it to make sure.
So we don't build up enormous, beautiful shows and then by mistake replace everything when we update the floor somewhere.
If we sketch them out with the live objects here and then we build them in Unity, like add the changes in Unity, then we know that we could do that fine. But I think we should test it because I think you might be able to change it. We'll see. But so they have this new system that they announced last week, which is like the studio, it's called. So the spatial studio is like the collection of the world. It's like your world that you published plus the avatars you published plus the items that you publish. You can publish items and prefabs, and that goes into your collection, your backpack of them. And so we could publish.
Do we have a guess?
There's a guess.
Hey, sorry, just to interrupt. Do we have a guess as to what the ceiling heights are in this room that I'm standing in?
Oh, sorry.
Maybe 13 feet.
I wouldn't want to guess.
13 feet, you guess?
I want to look at them.
You know.
Yeah, I want to look at the plans. I really don't, because even though I worked with the architects, I never got to see that level in the blueprint. So we can ask them easily. There's several of them on our Discord, so we can tag them. I'm not sure, but I like your idea of the measurements. In fact, I think I want to put that in our projects forum. Let's do that so that we should remember it. Project ideas. metrics or measurement. Measurements.
Well, I think what you're saying, you need a bunch of measurement primitives that are easy to reproduce and leave on the environment. So in other words, measuring sticks that we just drop next to objects in order to measure them, and then leave them there permanently so that other people can see them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, measuring tool or measuring object. Yeah, and that also opens a whole can of worms regarding scale, which is not, we don't know if this is accurate yet. So yeah, we need a way to know what height these avatars are supposed to be so that we can start to get a handle on what the scale is supposed to be. I guess the avatar is the first measuring block that we have. So if we figured out the height of the avatar, we have a measuring block, and then we can build some other ones. But I just posted this in the ideas forum.
Eight heights, aren't they? Trying to compare to your avatar.
I think they made like the male appearing avatars taller.
Oh no. There's also the hair, different hair like makes you look a lot taller because it's a big hair. Yeah, one of our speakers for our New York event was like commenting on how everyone's the same height. Yeah, like, it's cool if you could have different heights. I gotta say, like having used like VR chat and platforms where they let avatars be any height, it's incredibly diverse. Like the amount of sizes that people choose to be. Like some people want to be 10 inches tall, some people want to be 2 stories tall. It's a very tough challenge for people building worlds for them.
In Snow Crash, the Neil Stephenson book or Stevenson book, one of the like really third-rate characters was, I think, a rapper from Japan, and he had like a 20-foot, like a 10-foot tall afro or something. And it was just a beacon of light in VR.
Wow, he really did predict VR chat. Really. That's exactly what it's like.
Well, there is some compatibility of needs between short people and people in wheelchairs.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, last time
those
had
are
the
definitely
wheelchair.
two. Yeah, I remember wheelchair wheelies.
Yeah, we're definitely. If it wasn't for the elevators, this space would definitely not be very accessible at all. So. That's something that we have to look at for sure. And like, it was cool to have. Were you there, Steve, when we had the working wheelchairs in here?
Yeah, I was.
So yeah, I mean that's cool. That changes your height being in a vehicle. So that's one way to change your height right now.
Yeah, definitely. In all my systems, you have elevator systems that'll carry anybody to the roof, including delivery bots.
Oh,
so if
cool.
you want to, order a sandwich, you can get it delivered by bot, which will ride a little elevator up to the roof.
Oh
and
yeah. That's also how the tunnels in Spectra.
So you never have to leave the pool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if we really want to get technical with testing different heights, we could make basically like a fake vehicle, but instead of the vehicle, it just sort of changes your height. So we could put the seat at different heights, and that way we would have like you could change your height to whatever you wanted via getting in a vehicle prefab and spatial. That would be super nerdy, but
so is today the day we move in? And take an office and start experimenting?
Yeah, this is moving day. Yeah, let's do it.
Just to try it out, we could change things up in a couple of weeks.
If you understand that we might need to change it. Yeah, we might need to change it, but with that in mind, let's do it. Let's make people hosts and like start to experiment. Hang on a sec. I'm going to put one more snapshot.
We don't copy or keep our only original copy in here. Our art.
It's okay. I have the file, so I can always republish it. Host tools. Manage hosts. All right. Oh yeah, I already made Ryan a host, but not Steve, okay. All right, everyone's a host. So yeah, quick call dibs.
Oh,
Call dibs on your favorite spot.
Hey, does anybody have dibs on this little isolated spot over here? Because it would be perfect to transform slightly into my architecture style.
I don't think anyone called dibs yet, Steve, so I think it's yours.
All righty. The slow transformation, very slow, begins.
I didn't realize how historic this moment was. This is our first moving in. Actually, I guess we're not the first people to move in, though, because we had those 2 people that took over the apartment. So they're still our first
the
residents.
squatters.
Yeah. This is the first block, though. So they got the first apartment. We got the first block. Block 0.
I don't have a P function. What do I do?
There's custom avatars. I mean, if you want to get into that, there's a way to make avatars. I mean, some things we don't need to simulate, though. I mean, it would be nice to figure out where the bathrooms are for the offices, though.
So is the courtyard or the lower courtyard for projects as well?
So
and the apartments
I'd say anything is up for grabs.
Yeah, anything, because this is our block, and so in the vision of Spectra, it's the cooperative level of the block that controls the block, and so if we control the block, we can decide what we want to use the space for.
Then I ask. But then I ask you, we need some sort of community agreement, I guess, at some point.
I think that's Matt's job, is the governance for this block. One. How do we make decisions?
I think right now where the community is, right now we're a duocracy.
Yeah.
Right now we're a duocracy, so it's if you take the initiative to do it, and it's easy to change back, and it doesn't take a lot of resources to do, you're free to do it.
Duocracy. If it's easy to change back, nice. Which most stuff is right now. This is great. This is like, I feel like this is season 2 if we're doing seasonal game type. Spectre season 2. Nice photo. Already feels. That's very. It's like that painting of that dude on the rock.
I think I know the exact one you're talking about. We can go with the cliffs.
Yeah.
It's like a 19th century piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
We have the perfect background for a utopian, mega project. The sunset, or sunrise. Changing out the skybox would be fun. I think we can do that via Unity. The other thing I wanted to maybe try, there is a way in Unity that you can make a day-night cycle with the sky. So I would really like to try to make a day-night cycle that was maybe like an hour for each or something. That would be awesome. Or maybe like a half an hour. So you could have 2 in one meetup.
I think putting this picture here really just takes away from the view itself, so I'm going to move it.
It's a this is like getting into like Baudrillard territory. It's a virtual sunset image of an image of a several layers deep.
Yeah, but I like the clear horizon here.
Yeah. Neat.
And I need to find the stairs. I am stuck down here.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I think we need to. Well, one of the things we can do as the owners of the block is to change the courtyard. So we could add a staircase in the middle, or because it's spatial, we could actually add a.
There are some others. Yeah, there are more stairs, but they're blocked off by glass.
Yeah, I'm gonna change that. I can change the collision on that in Unity and just re-upload so that you can get through it. We can also add a moving platform.
There is lots of glass. Yeah.
I think we should add a moving platform like that goes up and down because we can. And then one of the things we can also do is add flying vehicles to help people get around. So there are some flying vehicle prefabs that people have already made. That would be fun. You could also add some jet skis. I feel like the seasteaders might like this space right now, Matt. It's like floating in the middle of the ocean. I know there was like at least one seasteader dude in their Discord.
Okay.
Well, we've reached actually the top of the hour again, and we're blowing by it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this stream. But actually, maybe we should. Here, I'm gonna reload. Let's all meet in the courtyard and take one photo together, and then I'll call it.
All right, I claimed my my space with an old CAD photo, so
nice.
I don't need to pee.
It feels like Minecraft. People put up signs and stuff in their space.
Right. No, it's actually a walkway.
So when you go through a portal, it doesn't mute your mic, but when you refresh, it does mute it. That's a good compliment.
Yes.
Where should we stand? Right here? Actually, let's see. What's a good background? We want to get the sun and this part. This is pretty good. Just right in the middle here. I noticed that V key doesn't flip you around anymore. They removed that. You just have to move backwards. Probably because the new...
What are you trying to do exactly?
Oh, just take a photo of everyone. There's Abraham.
All right, let's wait for...
We all got to face the same way, though.
Yeah,
to find us.
Face this with the sun in the back. Yeah. Perfect. Block 1.
I'll scoot this way a little bit.
Is it block 0 or block 1? What do you think? Block 0 is more like...
I think it's block 0.
Yeah, we're in beta.
Yeah.
And, you know, indexing.
Block 0.1 we could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Block...
So smile.
1.
Nice.
I'm going to try not to slouch. Let's see.
I like it.
Look up.
I got it already. Cool.
There we go. Looking up. Too late.
Yeah.
Was I looking out?
Well, thanks for coming. It was good to have just enough people to claim the first block, and hopefully more people will get into it next time. I think Jen would be psyched to claim a little bit, and then yeah, next week we've got an actual speaker. I'm gonna post later today. By this afternoon, I'll post an actual poster for the speaker and some info. But it's basically going to be a little bit about AI next week. I don't know if we'll do the talk here or back in the old intersection. We'll see. We'll think about it.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah,
right.
thanks for coming, everyone.
All right. Cool. Thanks for the